We're going to crack on and say this is the last on-stage discussion designed to, as we said, to provoke the thinking for the breakouts. And the breakouts will happen straight after this. You will have time to grab a coffee, a refresh. You can, as you head towards the breakout rooms, there's a tea point there and a coffee refreshment point, so you can pick up a coffee on the way. You've got packs which explain what the sessions are, but I'm just going to quickly tell you what they are so you know who needs to be in place for that. The breakout sessions are following from this panel, really, the challenges and opportunities of deploying capital in frontier technologies. And that we've got Chris Hill, Sheetal Mehta-Walsh, Marcus Studdert, and Izzy Vidra. The future of work, room 138. Which is David Williams, Sabine van der Linden, Vaibhav Rustagi, and Andrew Humphreys. And Authentic Environmentalism, Balancing Goals and Reality, room 135, which is Viola Jardin, Shaheen Kaglayan, Nikhil Chugli, and Sunil Lalvani. And that's after this next panel. Now, we said in the very beginning, it's going to be all about the talent. And how do you shape the next generation of talent with education, experiences, and investment? To help me with this discussion, we are honoured to have Lord Karen Billamoria, Sheetal Mehta-Walsh, and Mary Ludden. Please join me on the stage. I'm just going to move this to here so that you can all see us. As I mentioned, I do all sorts of functions. Thank you. So firstly, can I say, Lord Billamoria, you have amazing timing. You are optimized. Thank you so much for joining us. He told me last night what his schedule is today, and so we're delighted. We'll try to keep this exactly on time. But first, can I ask you to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you do in regards to this topic?
Sure. Thanks, Eric, and thank you for being here today. We're so honored to have Transform Base at the campus. My name is Mary Ludden. I'm a senior vice president at Northeastern University, and I am responsible for the 13 campuses, the global university system outside of Boston. I'm responsible for mergers and acquisitions at the university, and our global IT division and entrepreneurship.
13 now. Have you added some?
We did add one. We just announced 3 weeks ago that we're merging with Marymount Manhattan College on the Upper East Side of New York City, so you're all welcome as well. Maybe we can have a Transform Base there in the upcoming year.
The deal's done. Look at that. Love it. Sheetal, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Eric. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sheetal Walsh. I am the CEO and founder of a university spin-out venture capital fund called the University of Alberta Innovation Fund. We are an AI fund focused on health, agriculture, and energy. And we're already on Fund 2. We've done 9 investments within 9 months. And it's about scaling globally. And I've spent the last 30 years in venture capital in London, in San Francisco, and now in Canada.
Thank you. So it's difficult to find a way to ask Lord Karen Billamoria to introduce himself because it might be a conference in itself. But just to say that his company, Cobra Beer, is the sponsor of the drinks today, so big fist bump for that one, thank you. But please do introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, and great to be with all of you. Apart from being the founder and chairman of Cobra Beer, I've been in the House of Lords now, next month, 18 years. I was the third youngest peer when I joined 18 years ago. I'm still one of the younger peers. Our average age is 73. A lot of wisdom in the House of Lords. I'm also very involved in academia. So I was the youngest university chancellor in the country in 2005, 2010 of University of West London, and I'm currently the chancellor of the University of Birmingham, one of our big Russell Group universities, top 100 in the world. And I have 2 fellowships at Oxford and 2 at Cambridge. And today is a day which is typical of my life, where there's a bit of Cobra Beer, there's skills and education. I'm off as president of the UK Council for International Student Affairs to the University of Kent from here to speak at our annual conference. And in the evening, I'll be at Cambridge University in the Cambridge Union speaking about startups eat scale-ups for breakfast.
Wow.
And I'm going to be speaking on behalf of scale-ups.
Wow. Okay, now you know why I feel like a complete underachiever when he's on stage. Mary, when we first met Northeastern University, I was looking at the information online, and I was blown away by the number of jobs that are secured in your co-op program.
Yes.
Tell us about the co-op program. It's just astonishing.
It is astonishing. The co-op program at Northeastern University is 115 years old. It is something that students in their second year begin a process where they spend 6 months in an employer setting, like IBM, Salesforce, Meta, startups. And as they do their co-ops, they typically do 2 6-month co-ops throughout their education cycle with us. As you might imagine, the first co-op they do, they think that they are committed and very invested in the job, and they're 18, 19-year-old. They go to their first co-op and they learn, guess what they don't want to do. And so then they do another co-op and potentially 3 co-ops in other industries. What does that lead to? 93% of our graduates get a job in the field in which they studied or go on to a master's degree. On average, to give you an idea of the scale of this program, 14,000 students a year at Northeastern are on co-op. In this country, we're participating in the apprentice program. We have about 500 students right now participating in apprenticeships. Our largest growing program, in fact, is data science. So for example, students are at Salesforce right now getting data science degrees, credentials, not only in data science, but also a credential with Salesforce. So work, integrated learning is Northeastern's really secret ingredient.
And that's why the partnerships are so important.
So critical to us. And I think a lot of your speakers had mentioned this. We listen to our partners. We are not traditional academics in that we think we are the oracles, educating students on what we think they need to know. We actually have employers embedded in our learning curriculum, helping us evolve it as trends, frontier technologies come to life. Incredibly critical to have partners involved in our learning programs.
I'm going to stay with you just for a little bit
Sure.
because it reminds me of a discussion I had with someone called Easy Vidra, who was a Googler, and he became the person from Google that brought Google Campus to London.
Right.
Back in the days of the Tech Nation. He's actually speaking today. Izzy, are you here yet? Can I see? There he is. Wave. Go see Izzy Vida. He's over the back there. And that was a very pioneering thing to do. And then and it created massive opportunities. Literally hundreds of startups were being incubated in the coffee shop, really, that they created. And it was terrific. It was part of that strategy at the time to create spaces. But Northeastern University have done something quite unique, which is create this startup hub. It's not part of the faculty, but it is dedicated to startups.
Yes.
Why?
You know, our students really come to us with a passion and a purpose, maybe very differently than when I started my educational journey. And they want to be immersed in the entrepreneurial mindset and the entrepreneurship ecosystem. And so having startups be part of our university and our community not only affords our students the ability to engage in that ecosystem, but it gives our startups access to the talent pipeline. And for those of you that are startups here that might need talent, we have so many students volunteering today. I know Lottie is here somewhere. She's my model over there. If you see a student with a Northeastern t-shirt, student ambassador, they are the future of the talent skills pipeline, and that's why we have our startups on the campus.
Actually, can we ask the student ambassadors to give us
Lottie.
a wave? There they are. Go and talk to them, by the way. They are the future. Fantastic. And as I say, if anybody is interested has opportunities,
Yes.
or is looking for partnerships, to see the Northeastern team in the Northeastern Hub just around the corner there. So thank you. So Sheetal, to you now, talking about a university doing pioneering things. How did you persuade Alberta University to create this AI fund? Because it's like, 18 faculties as well?
Correct. Thank you, Eric. So, yes, the president of the University of Alberta is an entrepreneur at heart. And so he approached me from the UK to say, would you set up a venture capital fund similar to Waterloo and others? The mission is really to change the mindset of the students and the community on campus to engage with the ecosystem, to think about entrepreneurship. Unlike myself, when I was in school, I was meant to be a doctor or a lawyer, according to my culture, of course, failed in that. But we need to promote entrepreneurship, and we need to promote the student involvement. And so what we did is we really walked around campus. We have 50,000 students. And remember, Alberta's the size of England. So we knocked on every dungeon door we could find. This is a deep tech university. We are third in the world for artificial intelligence. And we found labs, and we found all of the internal accelerators where we could find deal flow. We've also hired 2, speaking of Google, we hired 2 of the DeepMind AI specialists on our team so that they can analyze every single deal that we do to make sure that the capabilities of AI are true and real and ready, positioned for the future.
That's terrific. So, Lord Brindlebury, you've gone back to school. Tell us about that.
When I started in business, I already had quite a bit of education behind me. I'd studied for 10 years. I skipped a few years. I had a degree from India. I was a qualified chartered accountant from EY in the city here in London, and I had a law degree from Cambridge. And I came up with the idea for Cobra Beer when I was a student. So I was one of these genuine student entrepreneurs. I mean, it wasn't a eureka moment. I didn't jump out of a bath naked in Cambridge and run down the streets. It was an idea that evolved to create this beer that goes really well with food. But when I was starting the business, my father, who was an Indian Army officer, he retired as Commander-in-Chief of the Central Indian Army, so 350,000 troops under his command. I said, Dad, isn't this great? My own business, entrepreneur, Cobra Beer. I knew he couldn't give me any money. He couldn't afford to give me any money. What are you doing? All this education? And you're becoming an import-export walla. Get a proper job. So he meant well. Entrepreneurship is risky. And the reality is most businesses fail. And he didn't want me to fail. And of course, when we succeeded, he was my biggest fan. The first 8 years of business, I head down trying to get this brand to take off, and I'm proud to say it's now a household name in the UK. And 8 years into it, I started on this journey of lifelong education. I went to Cranfield School of Management. I'm an alumnus there. Went to London Business School. I set up the YPO program there, and I'm an alumnus of London Business School. And I went to the Harvard Business School through YPO, did 9 years, became an alumnus there. And so I've been hooked on lifelong learning. And then one thing, I've got all these honorary doctorates, which I'm very lucky to have. I never did the real thing. So I've now started a doctorate. And I'm back at Cambridge University, back at my old college, Sydney, Sussex, not just as a fellow, but also as a student. And I'm loving it. And it's on leadership. And an angle on leadership.
Ah. Yes, if I may say, with an election coming up, a little bit of that wouldn't be a bad thing. Just saying. Well, look, we're going to be in a better place than the monthly Prime Minister we've been used to here. Yes, it probably is going to be better. So glad to hear that. So, Mary, just quickly, Portland, Maine, driving a new economy. Tell us about that.
It really is. So Portland, Maine in the U.S. As a state was devastated by the loss of the paper industry and the tourism industry in COVID. And we were approached by a philanthropist, Dave Rue. It's called the Rue Institute. The whole point of that campus, through a $100 million philanthropic gift, is designed to restart the economy in Maine through startups. And so we also have an incubator and innovation entrepreneurship center on that campus. Right. Startup funds on that campus learning and developing, students learning data science and AI, and it's really incredible. It just started 3 years ago. They are approaching almost 1,000 students. Wow. They have about 50 startups on the campus, and all of it is designed to pump money back into an ecosystem that has really seen economic decline over the last 10 years.
I mean, that's a unique, I used to work with the team at Number 10 on policy. Mm-hmm. That is definitely never been an idea.
Yes, yeah.
But as an economic stimulus, we have policy levers that we can perhaps tweak a bit on the tax system. But do we have projections for the results of what this might mean?
Well, all of the students are landing jobs in Maine. So again, speaking to our partners, we have founding partners on that campus. The learners take classes, work and learn in the employer setting, and then are hired by the employers. You may be familiar with an employer such as LL Bean. And so the hiring rates are just as high for that campus as they are for Northeastern as a whole. And I would just say very quickly, when I mentioned those 13, 14 campuses earlier, each campus has a signature profile. So for example, Vancouver is AI and quantum computing. Maine is startups. Miami, fintech. So as you're a student at Northeastern, you pick your campus based on the industry and the sector that you're interested in and the partner ecosystem.
I love it. Very interesting. I think it will be studied as an economic stimulus model because, of course, all of those startups are going to live there, work there, spend their money, contribute to the economy, and hopefully create this flywheel. So we'll watch that with great interest. But it's interesting that a university's position is far more. It's economic as well as educational
Right.
in a region, which I
And
think
has
is pretty
great
profound.
support from the politicians,
It
the
does.
public sector. I mean, all of them are lifting this campus because they recognize the deficit in the talent pipeline.
I guess what you want there is you want the patronage, but you don't want to be beholden to them.
Correct.
Something.
We do have a good separation
Do you?
from the influence. We can
Yes.
talk about that later.
Yeah, I think there's a conference on that
Yes.
as well. Sheetal, you smiled with that because, of course, you were, before helping Alberta, helping the UK government as well. For almost a decade, I think you were supporting the UK government with its Global Entrepreneur Programme. Now, the question I want to ask you is this, is that when you think about the talent that you nurtured through the Global Entrepreneur Programme, and then you think about, and you were always the number one person in that program making introductions to investors. Which, of course, you've gone across the table now and you are an investor in those. What are you looking for in the talent? Because this is about the next generation of talent. So what are you looking for?
Thank you, Eric. So much like Mary and also Lord Billamoria, our secret sauce is the talent we have access to across these academic institutions and deep tech institutions. And so what we're really looking for is the ability to help researchers commercialize their IP and ensuring that our IP strategy is aligned for the founder, right? So the founder, we've got a deal. Any company we invest in, the founder will own 100% of their IP, not the university. And that's important for follow-on funding and to actually scale the businesses. The second thing that we're looking for, as Eric mentioned, we had 18 faculty, and we regrouped and restructured the university into 3 colleges. And so with that, the crucial point is to identify diverse teams, not just diversity of gender and race, but also diversity of thought, which is really crucial. So bringing business students and engineering students, CompuSci students together to create the best, strongest teams are going to be wonderful, very important. And then folks that have global ambitions. So people who are going to create, leveraging AI, going to create technology and solutions in health, agriculture, and energy, things that are going to save, the planet, provides food security, this sort of thing. So higher thinking individuals, entrepreneurs that are going to also lead with purpose. That's really what we're looking for.
So those of you that have perhaps had the misfortune to hear me speak at previous events will know that I really care about the earliest years of education. Actually, 5-year-olds do, in my opinion, need to be taught and shared with things like, it is possible to explain to a child of 5 the concept of quantum computing by showing them a spinning coin and the fact that you can't see both sides at one time. That's superposition. How hard can that be, right? So it is possible, but yet at the earliest years in the curriculum of the United Kingdom, these subjects don't really exist. So, Karen, to you, you have one foot in probably in a venerable institution that is incredibly important. It's the House of Lords. When you're also advising government, what's your advice to government? Especially we've got an election coming, right? And I hope you're meeting them and biffing them over the head to say what they should be doing to ensure that the next generation of talent and the curriculum is fit for purpose.
Yes, I've worked with the Princess of Wales. Is very keen on early stage learning from a very, very young age. And there's lots of research that shows how crucial that early development is for the rest of your life. And so there are a lot of us from business who are trying to help out with that initiative. But I was on the Times Education Commission, and this was chaired by Rachel Sylvester of the Times and Sir Anthony Seldon, my friend, the great academic and former headmaster of Wellington College and Vice Chancellor of Buckingham University. And we looked at, and it was a great commission, people like Michael McPherson, the author, was on it, and looked at it from kindergarten right through to lifelong learning. And here's the reality in this country. Our universities are the best in the world along with America. So 3 out of the top 5, the latest QS rankings have just come out, 3 out of the top 5 in the world are British universities, 4 out of the top 10 are British universities, 4 are American, 1 Swiss, 1 Singaporean. Hang on, we're 68 million, the Americans are 350 million, they've got 4, we've got 4, we're doing pretty well. Yeah? 15 out of the top 100, including Birmingham, where I'm Chancellor, British universities, we're less than 1% of the world's population. So we are fantastic at higher education, at research. Nobel Prizes. It's not an American university, or Yale or Harvard or Princeton. It's Cambridge University that has more Nobel Prizes than any other university. One college, Trinity College, has 36 Nobel Prizes. One college. So we are fantastic. And yet, we do this in spite of huge underinvestment in our education system. Our school education, average child in a state school, £5,000 to £6,000 per child. You go to our private schools, which only 7% of our children go to, they're the best in the world. The Etons, the Westminsters, the Winchesters, they're fantastic schools. The fees, if you exclude the boarding, 3 times, £16,000. How can you, at £16,000, give £5,000 in the same quality of education? You can't. So we underinvest, and 3% in the last decade is the increase in spending on schools in the last decade. We've had inflation. So universities, fees capped at £9,250. Hang on. With inflation, that's down to £6,000, and our costs have gone up. You tell me at Cobra Beer, you put your selling price down by 1/3, and your costs have gone up at the other end, I'd go bust. And yet we're meant to be the best universities in the world with our hands tied behind our backs. And the only way we can make that happen is international students, because we can charge higher fees for international students. And then you've had a government just now who's going to be booted out, and they deserve to be booted out, and they will be demolished. And one of the reasons is they're anti-immigration, they're anti-universities, and anti-international students. They include international students in the net migration figures. That's crazy. Other countries exclude them. They're temporary migrants, scaring the public with these immigration figures.
Wow.
So I think they deserve what they're going to get, and we've got to prioritize education, which they have not done.
That told us. You know, Lord Billimore, you really shouldn't hold back.
How do you feel?
Actually, in concluding, because I think that brings this to a nice circle, there is something I'd like to ask you. This is from me as a father of 3 daughters and 6 grandchildren now. Those of you that are parents, go and ask for a meeting with your head teacher and ask them what they're doing at age 5, 6, 7 to teach about AI, machine learning, blockchain, quantum computing. Because we are not really equipped. We weren't born AI native. None of us on this panel were, right? But you need to have been born AI native using these technologies naturally. And so your plea for investment is absolutely right.
No, in America, 98% of teachers and students at all their schools have either a computer or a tablet. Over here, it's less than 50%. Where can they even think of AI and blockchain and data when they don't even have the tools?
So go and read what, those of you that are voting in the UK, go and read what people are saying that they're going to do about this, and then please vote accordingly. No bias whatsoever. Please thank our amazing panel. Thank you so much. Thank you.